All right. Welcome to Iconicon 2022. This is Endless Bullets. And my name is Matt Swaford, and I am your host. This is the Celebrity Deathmatch. This is going to be a fun one. I am joined today by my brother from Down Under, Tony Roberts from Analog Toys. Tony, how are you?
Well, Matt, I've been quite nervous about this whole trip to the United States and actually sitting next to you on camera for the first time, because I don't like when people make me look small. But
I'm hunkered down in my chair, so Yeah, see, you're
for
like,
me.
Yeah, you're like that much above me.
Yeah,
I'm in a hole.
Okay, so how does this celebrity deathmatch work? We just start punching on, or
we basically beat the hell out of each other, and you guys get to see it. No, what we are doing today is this is a showdown between some of the best action heroes of all time. According to a 10-year span for each pairing. And then the winner of each pairing gets compared at the end due to their criteria of Rotten Tomatoes scores, total box office, and our audience poll from our Iconicon Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever wins the data crunch wins. So
okay,
it's going to be pretty interesting. Might surprise you at the end, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
We are joined on this little endeavor. We needed some backup because everybody knows that Tony's a badass. Rumor has it that I've drank a beer and shot a gun before.
That's an every American.
We come out of the womb with two guns akimbo.
Yeah,
but
you have your first beer at 5, yeah.
I was shaving in 4th grade, but we had to bring in a couple badasses to join us. First of all, go ahead and bring in Mr. Xaxyl Phoenix from Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse, the podcast. I guess it's a podcast, but podcast.
We talk stuff.
Yeah. Xaxyl, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Now that you've said it, I can see the resemblance between you two. A beer in hand, and definitely seeing the resemblance. I don't know which one's which at the moment. That's why Tony's worn the Action Force shirt, so we can differentiate between the two of you.
I have two of these
this morning, so it's a daily struggle for me.
I have two of these t-shirts, so we could really mess with you, and I could just lend the other one to Matt, and then
I could have put the t-shirt on and then shaved, and it would have been like Right Said Fred.
Partway through the stream, just swap shirts and see if anyone notices.
Yeah.
And also from Matt Movie 611, the YouTube channel, we have Matthew Kearns. How you doing,
guys? Bud? How you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we are enjoying the ride, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Back again, Iconicon. That's right. We're back. We get the streams. We get the panels. We get the celebrities. We got Tony in the shirt that may or may not be dirty. It's so great. It's so wonderful.
What happened to you, Dylan? You used to be someone I could trust.
Was the matter, Tony? The wife actually pushing too many action forces?
See, if you guys were here in person, then we would have to do the slap clap from Predator, where it's like, you son of a bitch.
Yep. I'm actually regretting we did not do that at any point last weekend, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm saving that for the next time I head to Queensland and meet Xaxyl for the first time.
Nice. I'll start working out, so I've got something to actually show off. Mine's like a Disney cartoon. I do this, and the muscle falls underneath.
They're just like balloons. You just got to blow them up,
Right.
So, without so tell us all a little bit. I'll go first, I guess. My podcast, my channel is Endless Bullets, and I do basically a conversation podcast about action movies. Good ones, bad ones, obscure ones, well-known ones. Tony, what is it you do with Analog Toys?
Well, just before I get onto that, I will so the episode of Matt's podcast that's coming up
yes.
for Iconicon is the movie you're covering is Dead Heat.
Dead Heat. Mhm.
I had never seen the film before, but I needed something to do on the long plane flight over.
Yep.
So I offered Matt my services to Matt. So that, if you need help editing it to get it down to 90 minutes, that'll give me something to do on the plane. So I also watched the film for the first time. I had never seen it before. It's the best podcast you've done so far.
Oh, thank you.
People are absolutely gonna love this stream, and that airs what day? Saturday?
I think it's Saturday.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. A collaboration with Dan and Conrad from movie Oubliette. So yeah,
it's a bit of a crossover. We kind of combined our styles, and so there's what they call their Moobly Awards, where they go over certain criteria, and then we also do the bullet points, which is kind of my little shtick that I haven't really perfected yet, where I talk about cliches and tropes.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a fun episode. It's definitely it's in my top 2 favorite for sure. And I'm not sure what the other one of my favorites is, but I know the one we did was really good too.
Yeah. You don't have to say that because I'm sitting here.
Well, I gotta butter you up, I got to keep up the illusion.
Yeah, we did Flash Gordon, and there wasn't many endless bullets in Flash Gordon.
There was almost no bullets, but
There was one.
I knew you love that movie. And
I do love
it is
that
an
movie.
action movie. It's an action adventure, so
Yeah.
It does count. But what is it that you do with Analog Toys?
So Analog Toys, I'm actually coming up. The channel's coming up to its 6th anniversary. I don't remember what day it is, but it's somewhere in mid-July. If you look at the About tab on the channel page, it says that I've been around for 11 years.
Wow.
It wasn't a YouTube channel then; it was just my normal username, and then I turned it into a channel. So, but July will be 6 years, and basically I've spent 6 years imitating retro blasting. I stumbled across retro blasting in early 2016 and thought, finally, a toy channel that I like. The way videos were shot, and I was like, I can do something like that, and I've got different toys, to what Michael's got. I collect dolls and stuff, so
imitating retro blasting is a very popular thing to do. I know a few other YouTubers, toy YouTubers, that have also done that.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and
it truly is.
Yeah,
That's what they say.
yeah. But I feel I've never tried to be Michael French. First of all, I don't have his use of the English language, and he's far more intelligent than me.
He's got that glorious head of hair too.
Yeah, that always helps. But no, I stumbled across the channel years ago, and I was like, a format I can get behind, and I could sort of emulate this, but just go on and be yourself, and because I'm my own person, and I think a few people found a little bit more about me today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You had a
very
good,
true, Tony.
Very good video of yours that premiered a little while ago. Xaxyl, tell us a little bit about Slaughterhouse.
Well, Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse was originally just a place where I'd go and dump all the videos that I found on Sergeant Slaughter, so that I had a place that I could go just to watch all that stuff to do with Sergeant Slaughter. But since then, I've started a podcast-style show, or more of a talk show, I'd say, called Welcome to the Slaughterhouse, where I have a bunch of different guests. Tony was a guest on there. He's been a guest several times now, so we'll have anybody on. We also have had, if you want to see a grown man gush over his childhood hero, then watch the ones where I'm on with Sergeant Slaughter himself. I also have Slaughter Daughter on there quite regularly, so you should definitely check out her channel too. And my boy Ken is always riding side saddle. Side saddle, that's a weird way of putting it. Riding shotgun.
Side saddle means something totally different here.
Yeah, I don't know why I've never said side saddle before. I don't know why I've done it now. But so if you come on, check it out. We talk all things pop culture. So whether it be G.I. Joe, Transformers, Star Wars, as Space Commander says, they ruined it. But it's all just a bunch of fun. So come on over and check us out.
Right on. And Matt Movies, tell us about what Matt Movies is all about.
Matt Movies is all about whatever is up here that I think people would want to see. I dump onto YouTube. Mainly what I do is I do video essays on topics related to pop culture, mainly movies. Because TV, there's just like it's honestly, it's not even that there's a lot. It's just I've come to realize trying to condense like a season into a video, I not figured it out. But mostly movies, I try to find sort of an interesting perspective that I think people haven't given before. That's why I cover a lot of movies that people tend to not like, or tend to undertalk, stuff like Dick Tracy or Captain America First Avenger or Tron, which was my video last year. And I try to give an interesting spin, and my biggest thing is making sure people feel okay for liking what they like, because I think that's the worst thing sometimes in these spheres is, someone loves Batman Forever, but they're told it sucks, and it's like, no, if that's your favorite Batman movie, it's fine, it has some positive qualities to it, and that's what I try to do.
What I definitely appreciate that. I think everybody should, that you encourage people to like what they like, because there's a lot of overly opinionated people in the nerd space.
Yeah.
What I really love about Matt movies is that he is younger than a lot of the material that you cover. Use past tense or third person here. You are younger than the material that you often cover, and I like that. I like getting your perspective on it because you don't look at it through nostalgia goggles.
Yeah,
and you give a fresh perspective on stuff that we grew up with, so we have a certain hardwiring for. Yeah. And you watch it, I don't want to say more honestly, but it's through clearer glasses than a lot of us.
Yep.
You can appreciate it for what it is, as opposed to the feeling behind it that a lot of us carry with nostalgia.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's not nostalgia, because it's a lot of, that's what I was watching growing up, but I do feel like, like something like, say, Indiana Jones, like I wasn't there for the hype train of the original 3 movies, so I just got to see them as movies, and that has been a big positive thing to me. I think my favorite thing is, people see my face, and by the way, to everybody watching, I look 15, but I swear I'm 25. I have an ID to prove it, and everything, it's not fake. But by the way, Dad, if you're watching, hi Laser Pants. But yeah, I think that's my favorite thing is people, they'll be like, oh, you like action movies, and they think I'm going to be talking about Marvel stuff or Fast and Furious, and then I start talking about Chuck Norris and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I think they think I'm a 45-year-old who just has really good genes at that point.
We should all be so lucky, my friend.
Yeah, I'm a 25-year-old with really bad genes.
I'm a 45-year-old with big jeans.
I can't even wear jeans anymore.
Well, let me tell you, Matt Swaford, he's got some tight jeans. I've been staring at them since Monday.
Stretchy.
Are they just painted on?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So without further ado, we're going to get right into our first celebrity showdown of the death match. And for the first face-off, we are doing Charles Bronson versus Chuck Norris, the Battle of the Chucks. The parameters for this is 1977 to 1987. And some people may object to that and say, oh, well, Charles Bronson was way more popular in the 60s and the early 70s than he was in the 80s.
Yeah, but
this is true.
But most of his action movies.
Exactly. He did Death Wish and things like that, and a lot of Westerns and Great Escape. Those aren't necessarily action movies.
No, I don't think they're
adventure drama.
Great Escape is not an action movie, it's a war drama.
Yeah. And like Death Wish is a thriller, but he was very prolific during 77 to 87.
Yeah.
He put out a lot of movies.
The first Death Wish is a thriller. The rest of them are
exploitation
they're all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all kinds of wrong.
They're all kinds of things with lots of different kinds of people.
And of course, Chuck Norris was around before 1977, but he didn't really get prolific until then. And he was around after 1987, but again, not really
in
theatrically.
TV by that point. Walker had started.
Yeah, he wasn't really theatrical at that point. And for the sake of theatrical numbers that we used in our data, that had a lot to do with the time periods that we had to pick.
Yeah.
But I think they were both prolific. They were both Canon Group, Canon Film regulars, and they had a pile for Chuck and they had a pile for Charles. And if it was skewing older and less fight oriented and more shooting, it was Charles Bronson. If it was more kicking and punching and younger and more action, more involved action, it was Chuck Norris. So they literally just shuffled the pile. And so yeah, they were analogs. See what I did there?
Yeah.
And
I like
I mean, for my money, I really like Charles Bronson in a lot of. I shouldn't say in a lot of what he did, but he his persona was always Charles Bronson. He was always him in every movie. So it's like Charles Bronson is out for revenge in the jungle, or he's shooting street gangs in New York or whatever, but it was always him. And to a certain degree, Chuck Norris is basically the same way. It's always Chuck Norris doing this, Chuck Norris as a Texas Ranger, him as a Vietnam vet or whatever. So there's not a lot of characterization going on with these guys. So it kind of comes down to which movies you like.
I don't know. I'm trying to think which Chuck Norris movie it was. Was it The Octagon? He has an inner monologue.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he does.
It's a bad inner monologue, but
I mean, technically that's acting.
Ninja.
I will give The Octagon credit for being one of the first movies to show ninjas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were some before that. But
There was before. I thought that was the first.
there was one in a James Bond movie in the 70s. I forget which one. And
You only live twice.
there was another one I can't remember, but it was a one nobody saw, basically.
Yeah.
So it was the first really high-profile movie besides the James Bond one, where it was kind of a throwaway character and they didn't really explain it. But in The Octagon, they go into, a little bit more into what a ninja is.
Yeah.
But what do you think about those two paired off?
The actors.
Well, yeah, the as action heroes, yeah.
Yeah, they're very different beasts. It's a lot of the roles that Chuck Norris did, Charles Bronson couldn't have played those characters, and vice versa. Like if Charles Bronson was Lone Wolf McQuade, it would have been a totally different film.
Well, and that's interesting you say that, because Lone Wolf McQuade borrowed a lot and had a lot of inspiration from a movie that Charles Bronson was the star of, which is Once Upon a Time in the West.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the theme songs, they're almost exactly the same.
Yep.
And they've got a lot of that kind of steely, lone hero kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, he couldn't do a lot of what. I mean, I don't see Charles Bronson going to Vietnam and popping out of the water with an M60. I mean, I can't see him doing that.
No. But something that Charles Bronson could do that Chuck Norris can do a lot of things, right?
According to the internet, yeah.
According to the internet, he can do a lot of things.
He can do everything.
One thing he can't do is act.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson can act.
Yeah. He does a lot of face acting. Yeah.
He does a lot of face acting, but he has more acting chops than Chuck Norris does.
Yeah.
But Chuck Norris was also Lone Wolf McQuade.
True.
He was Colonel Braddock.
Mm-hmm. He was in Good Guys Wear Black.
He was the good guy who wore black. Mm-hmm. They wear black with mirrored shades. Yeah,
I give the edge to Chuck Norris in this one because his movies are more, they stand out more. Like we can sit here and name Chuck Norris movies from the 80s without looking at a list. Charles Bronson movies get a little bit murky after a couple.
Well, yeah. You see, have the various Death Wish sequels.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Murphy's Law.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done.
10 to Midnight.
Yep.
The Evil That Men Do.
Yes.
Which is basically torture porn.
Yep.
Assassination.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I think that's, wait a minute, is that on the list?
Yeah, that's on the
Yes.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's on the
That's it. He fires the little rocket launcher in that.
Yep. He did a few others, but I mean, they don't spring to mind like Silent Rage and A Force of One and Good Guys Wear Black and
Invasion
Missing-
USA.
Delta Force.
Yeah,
You know,
Delta Force,
those are more
Invasion
iconic, I
USA,
think.
Missing in Action,
Mhm.
Missing in Action 2.
Invasion USA.
Matt just said that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
Matt
didn't catch
Kearns.
that. Yeah.
That's a problematic film.
Yeah. It's got some issues.
That's one of my least favorite Chuck Norris movies, Invasion USA.
Yeah.
My favorite is the first Missing in Action. That's
a
my
good one.
favorite Chuck Norris film.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about you, Xaxyl? What do you think about these two?
Well, the way I put it is, if I was to walk into a bar and see Bronson and Norris both there at opposite ends, I think I would feel comfortable going and grabbing a beer and sitting down with Chuck Norris. But the steely look on Bronson, that sort of something behind those squinty eyes that just screams danger. And so I'm giving the edge to Bronson on this. Like, I know that we're not counting any of his Western stuff in this either. And I know you could probably say that he doesn't bring a lot to the movie roles that he's in, but the same can be said for Chuck Norris too. Nobody hires Chuck Norris to be an actor. They hire Chuck Norris to be Chuck Norris.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Charles Bronson, I don't know. There's just something about him that he's got a killer instinct. He's got that look in his eyes, like I mentioned. And I just feel like when push comes to shove, he's gonna go that extra step, maybe step over the line that maybe Chuck Norris wouldn't go.
Who would you rather fight if you had to pick one?
If I had to fight, like just straight up punch up?
Like if you were in a bar and you were like, oh, I've got to get out that door and I have to go through the door with Chuck Norris or Charles Bronson, which one are you taking your chances?
Out the window. Straight through the window. I'll take my chances with the glass. I wouldn't want to fight either of them, to be fair, but I would have, not knowing, if I didn't know either of them at all, and I'm just going by how they present themselves, I would go running for Chuck Norris, and I'd get my ass kicked, but I would just feel like that was a safer option. Bronson, I think, he might not have where it counts in how high he can kick, but he looks like the kind of guy that would either have a knife hidden somewhere or a pistol. I don't know, man.
I'm with
maybe.
Xaxyl on this. If I had to pick, I would fight Chuck Norris.
Okay.
First of all, because when Chuck Norris checks under the bed at night for he's actually looking for desert rat, no, because Chuck Norris has been a practitioner of karate for so long.
Yep.
That if I got into a fight with Chuck Norris, I know it's going to be a karate fight.
Mm-hmm.
With Charles Bronson, that guy will smash a bottle and stab me in the throat.
Yeah,
It's a good point.
Chuck Norris wouldn't do that.
It's a good point. I'm picking Bronson for two reasons. One, he's older. Two, there's two reasons. One, older. Reflexes are a little bit slower. Just
Right.
That's science. And two, I don't have to worry about him kicking me.
Yeah.
I only have to worry about his giant hands. Dude had hands like Thanksgiving hams. All I've got to worry about is him hitting me with one of them softballs.
Yeah.
And you only have to worry about what's upstairs. So
I think
with
Chuck Norris would knock you out, but Bronson would probably kill you.
if he connects, yeah. So
Yeah.
I go advantage Chuck Norris on that one just because of the martial arts skill and that he's younger.
Sure.
But what about you, Matt?
Yeah. Originally, I was thinking in that scenario, I was like, oh, Bronson, because Chuck Norris, he was like a world champion. But as Tony said, you're getting into a martial arts fight, and you also know Chuck, he's gonna play fair.
Yeah.
He's gonna play fair. Plus, I don't want to I don't want to brag, but I do have a green belt in Kempo Karate from third grade. So I feel like I'm near his level. You know, the drugstore parking lot sensei, who is probably like I don't know, a janitor on the weekdays. But yeah, Bronson, he probably would kill you. Like Chuck would knock you out, and then he'd probably take your hand and pick you up. But Bronson might. I don't know. I don't even want to know what he would do.
And if nobody here has ever seen a picture of or a movie with Charles Bronson in it when he was young, dude was
Grid Escape
ripped.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with like Grid Escape era Charles Bronson at all.
What's the bare knuckle fighter film he did?
Hard Times.
Yeah.
That's where I first noticed that he had. That's a
hard
hands.
man.
It was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I also, you also have the option, if you're going to pick between the two of them, if you do go down the Chuck Norris route, you can also pull chest hair. But Bronson in Hard Times, he had no chest hair.
Yep.
Although Chuck may take that personally and stop playing fair, though.
That's true.
What do you even notice? There's so much there. What do you even notice?
If Bronson gets a little layer of sweat, it's like a grease pig at that point. It's just like a.
I think another thing with Bronson is if you think about the classic fights between the Hulk and the Thing, right? Mm-hmm. The Thing was not stronger than the Hulk, but the Thing never gave up. And he would be down, almost out, bloodied and scarred, but he would still come clawing at the Hulk. And I think it would be a similar situation where maybe he's going to get those few kicks in first, but Bronson's not going down without a fight. If anything, he's going to just keep going until he's got nothing left.
Yeah, it's the Indiana Jones factor. Okay, like Indiana Jones, he wasn't tougher than Dermot Mechanic, but he never gave up.
Yeah, he got hit. Yeah, you saw that he got hit, and you could see that he felt that hit.
Yeah, he rope-a-doped him with an airplane.
Yeah.
Well, that's always the thing. Indiana Jones he's not the best fighter, but he's smart, and he just always lucks out with environmental help.
Yeah, that's true.
So here we are. I'm going to use an analogy here, right? Matthew Kearns. We're talking about Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson. Mm-hmm. We're comparing, like two American muscle cars. Mm-hmm. And then he brings in a Sherman tank and talks about Indiana Jones. It should not be in the same
I realize that myself.
Matt.
I'm like, we're on an action movie stream. Harrison Ford's nowhere in this, man. You don't need to bring him up. But then I'm like, I have an option to bring him up. I probably should.
Yeah.
Michael's off camera smiling, I'm sure.
Yeah, he just cracked his indie whip around the corner. So we're going to pull up our data and we're going to see what the numbers say, because ultimately our opinions don't really matter.
Yep.
So Charles Bronson from 77 to 87, I picked 10 of his highest profile movies. There were some other ones in here, but these were his best and brightest, I guess.
Are they Rotten Tomato scores next to that?
Yes.
He's got nothing over 40%.
Oh, most of them don't.
Wow.
The box office total.
Next slide.
Well, the first column is box office total, and which isn't easy to get from once you get past 1980. It gets a little bit dodgy.
Yep.
So I had to do some research on this one, and then the Rotten Tomatoes score is the final column, and then we do a average of the aggregate on that.
Yep.
So these are the results for Charles Bronson.
And next slide.
The next slide, yeah. Total box office, 115.7 million for that 10-year span. Rotten Tomatoes score, 25.8%.
Ooh.
Oof. Yeah.
That stings.
The critics are not kind to Mr. Bronson.
But I've got a feeling that that might be better than Chuck Norris.
We'll see. Let's
next slide.
Let's check the tape.
So Chuck Norris.
Oh, look at
that. Good Guys Wear Black, Octagon, Lone Wolf McQuade, Silent Rage, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, Invasion USA, Delta Force, Firewalker, Force Vengeance. And you haven't put Missing in Action 2 on that list. Did it fall outside?
I had to pick 10. Yeah.
Yep.
So
some box office scores that, man, Silent Rage, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
This is a good film.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It holds up pretty well.
So box office wise, see, I'm not good at math. I see all those numbers and I can't even hazard a guess whether it's going to be better than Chuck. So the total box office for Chuck Norris,
153.8 million.
So about 20-30 million more.
Yep. So he beats Charles Bronson in that category. Can he do it again? Rotten Tomatoes score 38.1%. So he has officially defeated him. Our audience score is the third criteria.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I don't know if there's another slide after that. Yeah. So here is the audience vote score was Chuck Norris 64%, Charles Bronson 35%. So Charles Bronson lost in all three categories to Chuck Norris, which
I would have voted for Bronson.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight him.
It was closer than I thought it would be. I feel like Charles Bronson kept it respectable, but Charles is our
always
winner.
going to be the underdog, though. He was always going to be the underdog.
Yeah. But no disrespect to either one of them. But Norris is our winner, so he advances. That takes us to our next showdown, which is Steven Seagal. Winner
Chuck Norris. So now
Steven Seagal versus Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Wow.
From 1988 to 1998.
88 to 98.
So what are your thoughts?
So when was Nico Above the Law?
Above the Law was 88.
88. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what was Van Damme's 88, the first movie in 88?
Bloodsport. That was his first film, Bloodsport, 88.
Or was Bloodsport? Yep, you're right. Bloodsport and then Cyborg.
Can't question a name like Matt Movies. He knows his stuff.
I kind of know a thing or two about Van Damme.
Right.
I always trust, but I verify. Just in case. Don't want both of us to be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's fair for me to even discuss Steven Seagal. like where I grew up on the south coast of England, seagulls were vermin and disgusting animal. They would steal your chips when you got fish and chips. And
I do that here too.
You can tell Steven Seagal stole some chips.
Tony.
He's stolen some chips in his time, but when he first made a big splash was Nico Above the Law.
Mm-hmm.
People hadn't seen that kind of martial art before, the Aikido. It looked really, really cool.
Yep.
He wears a beret in that film. I think it's that
I know
film.
you're thinking of Out for Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a ponytail in Above the Law.
Oh, I must be thinking of Out for Justice then.
It's not even a ponytail.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like a little rat tail kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he wore a beret in Above the Law.
Yeah.
He does not know how to wear a beret. That man disrespected the beret.
Right.
And I take issue with that.
Tony does not like when you disrespect the beret.
Yeah. So that's it. Van Damme wins.
So
Next
Van Damme's
time.
Van
Because he
Damme's better, just like
respected
that.
it in Street Fighter.
Counterpoint.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about that. See,
But
that's why we brought Matt Movies on, because
Yeah, I can let
It's
that
quick on the
slide
draw
though,
like
because Kylie Minogue's in that film.
and he wore a baby blue beret in that.
Yeah, who wore it better?
Yeah, who
Van
wore it
Damme, did he
better?
wear- Yeah.
It's
Fashion
interesting,
statement.
isn't it? When you look back at like that period of time and those two particular actors, there are not many the characters they played. I don't remember many of the names of the characters. in Bloodsport, was he Frank Dukes?
Frank Dukes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But beyond that, like I don't really remember the names of any of the characters. Yeah,
I remember in Cyborg, he was Gibson Rickenbacker, named after a
He's-
guitar.
Kurt Sloan and Kickboxer. Guile and Street Fighter, of course.
Yeah, he really looks like a Kurt Sloan, doesn't he?
He was
sounds like one.
In Hard Target, he was Chance Boudreaux.
Yeah, but that's not too dissimilar, I suppose, to the two Chucks. That I can't remember the character names.
Yep.
Right.
But just now, I've been so busy preparing for Iconicon that I have done no prep for this stream. So just off the top of my head, Nico, Above the Law. Was that the same film?
No,
Yeah.
Same film. Above the Law,
It-
Hard to Kill.
Hard to Kill.
Where
Marked
he's in
for
the coma
Death.
and he wakes up from the coma. And,
I remember with Weird Science, Kelly LeBrock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kelly
Marked
LeBrock.
for Death, where he takes on the Jamaican voodoo
Yep.
posse.
Yep.
Out for Justice, where he disrespects the beret.
And the bad guy in that is William Forsythe.
Yep.
And it's
yep.
very mob related or something.
Yep.
And on Deadly Ground, where he's an Eskimo.
I've tried to eradicate that film from my memory.
That's where he
Under
started wearing
Siege.
big jackets with the fringe.
Is that with Michael Caine?
Yeah.
Michael Caine
Is
in a
the
film with
evil
Steven
oil tycoon
Seagal.
or something.
Like Michael
Under
Caine,
Siege.
come on, you're English. We don't like seagulls.
Wait, no, I think the oil one was that Fire Down Below? Or was
On Deadly Ground was the oil one in Alaska. Fire Down Below was
Right.
the EPA one in
That's it, yeah.
Mississippi, I think, or
Yep.
Kentucky.
Look, I mean, his biggest hit was Under Siege, which,
Right.
you know, Die Hard on a boat. Die Hard, you know, after Die Hard was such a massive hit, everyone was trying to emulate that. So we got lots of different ones. Well, we had a Van Damme version of Die
Sudden
Hard.
Death?
Sudden Death.
Sudden Death. Mhm.
Where it was Die Hard in an ice skating rink.
Yep.
We had Die Hard on an aircraft carrier. With Tommy Lee Jones in one of his worst performances ever. I really like Tommy Lee Jones. The Park Is Mine is just his greatest film.
Love that movie.
I really dislike his character in Under Siege, but we're not here to talk. We're talking about Steven Seagal.
Gary Busey's in that too, and he's wearing fake boobs and a wig.
Yep. There's some
And
real
still looks
boobs in it.
tougher than Steven Seagal.
There's some real boobs in it. There's Erica Eleniak from
Yes.
from Baywatch. That's
Yes.
one a frequently paused moment of the video in my household when I was a teenager.
Is there a movie past that point? I've never seen it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what happens at the end.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah.
No idea
Yeah.
what happens after that point.
I had to shield my eyes during that scene, I think. I don't think I'm old enough.
Are you peeking through your fingers though?
Obviously, in that Seagal plays this. So he is a badass,
Cuban or something.
supposedly a badass Navy SEAL, but the senior officer of the aircraft carrier knows this. Everyone else, he's just the cook.
Just a cook.
Right.
Yeah. So we would like make fun of that movie when we're in the army, and it's like, hey man, I'm just a cock. But Steven Seagal runs really weird.
He's got a weirder run
You
than
need
Dolph
to
Lundgren.
introduce the limp wrist into that. It's the Steven Seagal run. You know, as much as I hate Tom Cruise, I understand why people do these super cuts on YouTube of him running. When they do it with Seagal, it needs Benny Hill music over the top.
I wish we had that on our slide. So what about you guys? What do you think?
Well, as far as Steven Seagal is concerned, the only positive thing I've ever heard about Steven Seagal comes from a friend of mine called Wayne Matty. And Wayne Matty, who played Sergeant Slaughter in the Young Rock series, was also a bodyguard to some actors, including Steven Seagal. And he swears black and blue that Steven Seagal's a good bloke. And so I'm, inclined to believe him. However, I don't think there's any movie that I've actually sat through where I've believed that he can do what he's doing. I believe that Van Damme can do what he's doing in those movies. Right? You can take yourself out of it and enjoy the movie. Even Street Fighter, I can enjoy that movie because I believe that what he's doing is real. Whether it's the splits, whether it's drunken dance fighting, all of the classic Van Damme stuff is at least believable. When it comes to Steven Seagal, it's like, oh man, how is this guy a movie star? How is this guy at one point like an A-lister, right? Almost. I mean, maybe B+.
He can't do the splits.
Well, I wouldn't want to see it, but he might not get back up again. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's no contest. Van Damme all the way. Van Damme
it.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, before this stream, I had only seen Under Siege. That was it for Seagal. I just never saw any of his stuff. So when I got invited onto the stream, I decided I should probably watch a lot of his movies, and I did. And I tried to go in sort of order, and I realized how worse they got over time. I was like, because Above the Law, I was like, okay, that's really good, and you got a really good supporting cast. You got Pam Grier, you got Sharon Stone, you got a couple of the people from Fugitive, which is the same director, so it makes sense. Which, since they both take place in Chicago, I have a question: where was Nico when John Kimball was on the run? But yeah,
Ford again,
greasing his ponytail.
The thing about Seagal is, I think, and me and Melinda talked about this, I know who he is as a person now, so trying to root for him as a hero is kind of hard, especially since Out for Justice was the worst, because it's like he's somehow the greatest at everything imaginable. I'm surprised they didn't have a walk on water in that movie. Whereas with Van Damme, I have loved Van Damme movies ever since I was in high school. I saw Bloodsport and Kickboxer and all these things. And yes, like every 13-year-old, I tried to do the splits and hurt myself and gave up on it. But with Van Damme, I just think he's a more likable person in his movies. Even though he's a bit of a wackadoo. I find he's like
very likable, yeah.
I think in like something like, Kickboxer, the entire thing of that movie is he's doing it to avenge his brother. So yeah, I'm more a Van Damme person than I am a Seagal guy.
Right on. I'd have to say I am, when it comes to Steven Seagal with me, he's basically a trilogy. Like I get rid of all the movies I don't like, and there's 3 that I can get behind. Hard to Kill, Marked for Death is his best movie, and Under Siege. Even with the problems Under Siege has, it's well directed. It's got a good supporting cast. It's Die Hard on a boat. I mean, you can't really. It's hard to mess up that formula.
Yeah.
The rest of them,
when it comes down, to, that's where I'm starting to get a little bit concerned that Seagal might just be able to tip it over a little, because he does have some of those big blockbuster sort of movies. And
there's one Van Damme movie that we haven't mentioned yet, Universal Soldier.
Oh, true.
That's true. Is that
with Dolph Lundgren? Right.
Yeah, we'll be talking about
it. On the list. That is on the list.
That was a big film. That was a good film.
Time Cop as well, which was right around that time.
Time Cop, yeah.
Time Cop's great.
Was Time Cop a hit though?
It did okay. It did well. It wasn't a humongous one, but it made money.
And he had the same haircut in that he did in Hard Target, didn't he?
Yeah. And Hard Target, Hard Target is a John Woo film, and it was his first American film. And
was it Double Impact that had 2 Van Dammes?
Yeah.
Are we in this time zone? I'm in timeline.
Yes. Yeah. Double Impact counts.
The Quest had James Bond in it. Robert Moore's in that one.
The Quest does not count. That was not on the list.
I don't think this movie counts, because I think is pre-88. But Van Damme was also a really good villain in No Retreat, No Surrender.
No Retreat, No Surrender doesn't count because it's not within the time frame.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be. Yeah.
And
Also, he's playing a villain there, so I'm glad that's omitted.
yeah, and that one wouldn't really have counted either because it wasn't a theatrical release.
Was it not?
That was direct to video. That movie came out
That's
a few
a
years
great
after it was
movie for
filmed.
direct to video. That's a chest pumping.
Yep.
I like
That movie
Direct to
came
Video.
out in, I want to say, either 87 or 88 on video. It was shot in 85.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a good villain in that. That was his big coming out party as an viable action star, I guess. Now, our movies that we covered in this 10-year span for him were Bloodsport, Cyborg, Kickboxer, Lionheart, Death Warrant, Double Impact, Time Cop, Hard Target, Street Fighter, and Universal Soldier.
I've seen all but one of those. So
Lionheart's the one when he's doing the underground fighting ring.
Yeah, it's kind of like Street Fighter before Street Fighter,
It's
like
for
actual
his-
Street Fighter.
Yeah, his brother like dies. I think at the beginning he's doing it for money for
It's like bum
the
fights, the
family.
movie. Yeah,
it's a common theme.
I thought that was a plot of every Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
Well, that's where he
the brother. Yeah.
that's where he breaks the balls, which is where Johnny Cage gets it in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, right. Okay.
he fights
That's a
the
good
one
bit of
guy.
trivia.
He fights the one guy in the big empty swimming pool.
Yep.
Yeah.
What year did that come out?
I want to say that was 90. 90? No, it was 90 or 91.
Because I've like never heard of that. I'm trying to think what would I have been doing in my life?
How could you have missed Lionheart?
Well, I was like, if that came out
You're right,
when-
Matt. It was 90.
when I was going through recruit training or something, I wouldn't have seen anything for months. But I didn't join.
It might have just squeaked.
I didn't
in.
join the army when I was 12, so
That's not a very good name for an action movie, though, is it?
No.
Lionheart, no.
Yeah.
But it's one of
no, I'm not
those.
feeling
It's said in the movie, so they.
Oh, you said the line.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, now I'll look out for it. I'm intrigued by it, so
Yeah.
I'll definitely check it out. But the fact that that's the only one on the list of them that I haven't seen, I'm almost certain when it comes down to Steven Seagal, I'm either going to go, oh yeah, I did see that, or no.
As far as Seagal goes, the list is Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice, Under Siege, On Deadly Ground, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, Executive Decision, Glimmerman, and Fire Down Below.
Well, those
So
are
executive
definitely all
decision, I like because he dies halfway through.
Yeah.
Not even halfway through. Like in the first 15 minutes, he's
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and I
They
just
blew the
remember
budget.
going,
Yeah.
yes,
And that has
What-
Kurt Russell in it too. So
Yeah.
Ah,
double points.
I can talk Kurt Russell.
He's out early, and we get Russell for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
As every Steven Seagal movie should have been. Just 50 minutes of Seagal and bringing Kurt Russell to save the film.
That's
Yeah,
the best
bring in-
case scenario for.
bring in Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take a nerdy Snake Plissken over Seagal any day.
So in the first round, when we talked about the two Chucks,
Mhm.
you asked us all a hypothetical question. Like, you're in a bar and Chuck Norris is at one end of the bar, Charles Bronson at the other end of the bar. It was a whole hypothetical thing.
Yep.
Before you even ask that, I'll say right now, take the hypothetical part out of it.
Yep.
Steven Seagal, I want to fight you.
Do you want to fight him? Do you
I
want to fight
want
him
to
now,
embarrass you.
or do you want to fight him in 1988?
Either, I'll take whatever.
Because you would have been like 10.
I'm good.
I still think you have a chance, mate. Yeah.
Yep. But I've known enough about fighting over the years to know that anyone who has gotten into a fight knows what an incredible disadvantage a ponytail is. I was telling the guys here at Iconicon the other day, because once you get hold of that ponytail, you can be blinded and all you do is clap.
Yep.
And you hit them in the face every time. So
We call
he's
that
still got
trash
a
bagging.
ponytail now, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, we call that trash bagging, where you get a hold of the ponytail and you can literally
Right.
do anything you want with that head.
Yeah.
Well, and Van Damme did have the mullet in a few movies, though, so it's kind of the same handicap.
Still, I can respect the mullet.
Right. Yeah, they were.
As an
all
Aussie, I
weak.
can respect the mullet.
So I will pose that question again, though. You've got to fight one. Who do you pick? We already know who Tony picks, Seagal.
Well, I think I think I would fight Van Damme just for the honor of fighting Van Damme because I don't want to see a grown man cry. So I'll leave Seagal to his. It's not fair. It's not fair in Seagal. I couldn't do that to him. So I'll take a beating from Van Damme and hopefully come away with a good story. Beating up Seagal, you wouldn't walk away with a good story from that. You'd be like, oh really? Why'd you do that for, the poor guy? Cut him a break.
Yeah. I think for me, I probably would fight Van Damme as well. For one thing, I probably would get a split kick to the face, which would be great. And the other thing with Seagal,
right?
The other thing
He did the kick.
The other thing with Seagal is, for me, and anyone who met me at the Iconicon meetup knows, Seagal was like 50 times my size, so I could maybe hit at his kneecaps. And also, if you watch Seagal in any interview, the man is crazy and always armed, and I just know he's not above pulling a gun on you. Even though he would try to do the Aikido, the dead martial art. And then he would just pull a gun.
A real martial art, Matt.
Yeah,
I think I could beat him with the little capoeira I'm aware of.
However, if I had a pair of scissors and I cut the ponytail, it might be like, Samson. Once it's gone, he's done. He'll be like, what am I supposed to do now?
I just want to say that the little capoeira I'm aware of is my new favorite term. The little capoeira I'm aware of.
Keen followers of my channel know that I'm a big UFC fan, right? UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, that's the name of the organization. But the sport is mixed martial arts.
Right.
Yeah.
And people go into that, and to be a very successful mixed martial artist, you need to be well versed in a lot of different martial arts. Mm-hmm. But, when Bruce Buffer introduces people, it's often it is a such and such fighter. So it could be a boxer, a brawler, a wrestler, a jiu-jitsu black belt, whatever they kind of started with, right? And then they kind of add all these other elements. Mm-hmm. There is not one. There are 700 fighters assigned to the UFC today. Not one of them practices Aikido.
It's true.
I think more of them do origami than Aikido.
Tai Chi.
And if you watch recent videos of him doing Aikido, he literally stands there as other people flip over for him.
Yeah,
that's so bad. Oh man, but still more action than most of his movies.
I have seen Steven Seagal in person. I actually saw him in a club called the Roxy in Orlando, Florida, about 20 years ago. And he is about a head taller than everybody in the club when I see him. So he is way taller than most people think. I want to say he's like 6'5", 6'6"-ish.
Yeah. There's a video on YouTube of him with Kelly LeBrock and Arnold, and he's like way over Arnold.
Yeah. And Arnold's my height. I mean, reportedly. He's 6'2". And but I would also probably fight Van Damme. Just because, just in case Steven Seagal is actually capable of doing any of that arm bend over breaky bullshit that he does in the movies, just in case.
You don't want to risk
because I don't want that to happen.
Could you imagine getting beat up by Steven Seagal? You couldn't come back from that.
And I feel like I could dance with Van Damme long enough to maybe get one on him.
So all three of you picked Van Damme. Right, and I publicly said on YouTube that I actually want to fight Steven Seagal. Forget the hype of that. Because the other flip side is when I think about Van Damme, I was like, I think I would like that guy.
Yeah. Maybe I could talk him out of it. Maybe I could be like, you know what? Let's just have a beer.
I just think that if
I'm
going to get
dance
beat
in the
up by
corner,
one
it'll
of
be
them,
cool.
I'm not going to be able to have a good pub story saying that I got beat up by Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think that I would get any kind of respect from that. It would just not be worth the years and years of hassle I would get afterwards. Oh, in walks the guy that got beat up by Steven Seagal. Whipped in the face with a greasy ponytail.
The head whip.
I can't. You can't wash that kind of grease off. That's a lifelong sting.
Well, let's see what the data tells us. For Steven Seagal.
Oh, man, look at that.
His box office is pretty respectable.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
I can't believe On Deadly Ground made $38 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my YouTube channel makes like $500 a month. That's what's wrong with the world.
How much do you want to fight him now?
Oh, a lot more.
Even more. So let's see what the scores are.
156 million under. That doesn't surprise me. That was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Executive decision. That's surprising because that was right around Air Force One. I'm surprised that everyone was like, "Oh, we want to see the same movie, except not with Harrison Ford."
Yeah.
But I think executive decision got out first, didn't it?
I think so.
Did it?
Yeah.
Which is why, yeah. If Air Force One, if it hadn't been the other way around, I don't think it would have done those numbers.
It was the appetizer to Air Force One.
Yeah. And we have
$622.1 million for Seagal.
Oh, I'm nervous.
I tell you what, Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson are not happy right now.
Well, they can still win the other two categories, but it's not looking good for them so far. And 34.6% on the Rotten Tomatoes aggregate.
Okay.
No, that's too high.
All right. So we take a look at Van Damme now.
So let's take a look at Van Damme.
Okay.
Also pretty respectable.
Wow.
He's had
Oh,
some big
0
ones.
on Death Warrant. Yeah, that's going to hit hard.
Yeah, nobody likes that movie apparently.
I quite enjoyed it.
Which one is Death Warrant?
That's when
where
he's the cop in prison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he got it's like a Brubaker, or like he goes undercover in the prison or whatever to find something, and then he like gets stuck in there. So it's
I'm surprised at how much Street Fighter made.
yeah.
Same. I'm surprised at how little Universal Soldier made.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was his
In
biggest hit.
comparison, Yeah. Mm.
Time Cop's his biggest hit.
Time Cop made a lot of money.
Wow.
People love
Okay.
time travel movies.
Love that Time
True.
Cop. 419.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So he clearly
Steven
loses
Seagal.
that battle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see what the audience or the Rotten Tomatoes score is. 31.6. Also loses that one.
That's a shock. I knew it was going to come down to numbers. I knew it.
So regardless of what the audience score is, but let's just see how they compare.
I will
Yeah.
not forgive 90s audiences for what they did to Van Damme.
So the audience, the Iconicon audience score blew Seagal away,
Yeah.
but he won the first two, so he wins this
Yep.
showdown. So he advances to take on Chuck Norris and whoever our next winner is.
But again, so this I look at this as like 3 rounds of a fight. Yeah.
They're still
And that audience score was so strong. It's like Seagal won the first 2 rounds on points, and then Van Damme knocked him out in the third.
yeah.
Right.
By the way,
Yeah,
Tony, I'm now with you. I'm fighting Seagal in the bar.
If the rules were different, I would side with you on that one, but we've got to abide by the numbers.
My God, the Seagull one.
Yep, winner Steven Seagal.
That one hurts more than a punch from Steven Seagal.
Agreed.
The arm
Yeah.
flopped his way to victory.
And I will say, before we even look at the final numbers, it's not looking real good for Chuck Norris against Steven Seagal right now. So hopefully, either Wesley Snipes or Dolph Lundgren can swoop in and
So that's next.
make this
We
an
have-
interesting fight.
Wesley Snipes, Dolph Lundgren. What years are we talking here?
All right, so these are not going to be the same years because their careers were not parallel, so they
Right.
are a little bit skewed.
Yep.
Can we have He-Man versus Blade? That's what I want to know.
They are both included.
Nice.
So
The
for
winner is us.
for Wesley Snipes, he started in movies before 1990, but his first real action movie was 1990. So his decade is 1990 to 2000,
Mhm.
which includes New Jack City, Passenger 57, Boiling Point, Rising Sun, Demolition Man, Drop Zone, Money Train, U.S. Marshals, Blade, and The Art of War.
Okay. All right.
For Dolph Lundgren, we started with 1985 and went to 1995. So these two are the only ones that are different between the two contestants.
Yep.
Dolph Lundgren's movies are Red Scorpion, in no particular order. Red Scorpion, Punisher, I Come in Peace, also known as Dark Angel, Showdown in Little Tokyo, Johnny Mnemonic, Pentathlon, Universal Soldier, Men of War, Rocky IV, and Masters of the Universe.
Punisher is a guilty pleasure of mine. I will say, as a Marvel kid growing up, having that on VHS was I wore that out. So I guess instead of having He-Man versus Blade, we're gonna have Punisher versus Blade, which is much more in line.
Marvel Knights.
Marvel, yeah, that's it.
But when you say normally when someone says guilty pleasure, that's like a bad movie that you enjoy. I don't think Punisher is a bad film.
No, the 89 Punisher is
89
my
Punisher
favorite
is
Punisher movie.
Good film.
Yeah, it's got problems.
Well, then it's just a pleasure
budget.
for me. Right.
Yeah. I same as you, Xaxyl. It was a VHS that I watched over and over and again. I think it's one of his better films. I really enjoy Red Scorpion. It's like the Russian Rambo.
Yeah,
that's a really. I need to revisit
Red
that.
Scorpion,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
That's going to be.
I don't think I've seen Red
in the
Scorpion.
sports.
Yeah,
Red Scorpion.
you haven't?
No, I don't think so. I'll have to check it out.
It's
So I've got
a-
Red
you
Scorpion,
gotta check it out.
and what was the other one, Matt, that you said? Lionheart. Was that it?
Yes, Lionheart. Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll check that one out too. So far, I've got some videos, some movies to catch up on. So
I have to say, I Come in Peace. I really like. That's
love
a
that movie.
fun alien, and it has one of my favorite like sci-fi action movie one-liners where the alien's just like, "I come in peace," and Lundgren's just like, "And you go in pieces, asshole."
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's
Drug
good acting.
dealers,
That's good
drug
acting.
dealers from outer space,
And it has one of the funniest comebacks when at the beginning of the movie, his buddy, who they're like undercover cops, and the drug dealers are asking all these questions and everything. It's like, and where'd you go to college? The University of Suck My Dick.
That sounds so wrong coming out of your mouth.
I'm going to tell you.
Behave, young man. Showdown in Little Tokyo as well. I've watched that film way more times than I should have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very problematic film.
It doesn't hold up well.
It doesn't hold up well. Some of the dick humor really doesn't hold up well either.
Yeah, Brandon Lee
Sounds
does
like
have
Dick
a very
and hold up in the same sentence. That's
But the reason I watch that so much, it's definitely not for the outfit he wears at the end, where he's got like black pajama bottoms on, a white gi, and a white headband with a red.
Yeah, he looks like a karate dad doing chores on the weekend.
Yeah. No, that was my first introduction to Brandon Lee, who would then go on to do, was it Rapid Fire?
Rapid Fire and The Crow.
Before obviously tragically dying during the production of The Crow due to an accident with blank firing ammunition. Tragically echoing
three movies
the
for
life
Brandon
of
Lee
Dad.
total. Is that right?
He did a couple other ones. He did one called Laser Mission, which got lampooned on Mystery Science Theater.
Right. Well, that's
Just the
that's how you know
title
you've
was
made it.
like,
Yeah,
Rapid Fire is a good. Obviously, the
It's not
Crow.
bad. Mhm.
The Crow is a classic.
Yeah.
An absolute classic. But
Fun fact: I interviewed Bill Allen earlier today. Was best friends with Brandon Lee, and
Really?
this was in his book. So I didn't mention it because it's probably it's a rough thing. Memory wise for him, but Brandon Lee tragically got killed shooting The Crow. A stuntman fired a blank, or he didn't check the round or something. I can't remember exactly, but
I think there was a projectile lodged inside the barrel.
Yeah.
So he fired a blank, but whatever was stuck in the barrel got, and he got shot.
and it was and when you're shooting at someone on camera, you're not supposed to shoot as a stuntman, shoot directly at them. You're supposed to shoot kind of askewed for safety.
Yeah.
and he didn't do that. He just shot him right in the chest.
Was it not the scene where he's
on the table and they're all
the people are shooting at him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so not long after that, it was like a year or two after that, Bill is in New Mexico shooting a TV show where he's got a part. One of the actors that's also on the TV show is the stuntman that killed his best friend.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And he literally doesn't know it until they are on set together.
That stuntman having to live with that mistake, though, I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Well, and he was in his book, he talks about how gracious he was about it. And he was like, you know what? It was an accident. I forgive him. And they talked about it. And he saw how upset the guy was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't want to bring that up, obviously, because it's a painful memory.
Yeah.
But another reason that everybody should buy that book.
Anyway,
Rocky IV.
Celebrity deathmatch between Dolph Lundgren and Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
And we're talking about Brandon Lee.
I was going to say.
We're ahead of schedule. We can do that.
My heart wants to go to Dolph Lundgren because there are more of his films that I am endeared to. I find Passengers 57 to be somewhat of a guilty pleasure, although the villain in that movie,
Bruce
Alex Payne,
Bruce Payne.
Bruce Payne?
Mm-hmm. That's the actor's name, yeah.
What's the character's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
I thought that was something Payne as well.
He does have a line in that movie that I remember when Elizabeth Hurley is the evil stewardess that's on his team or whatever. And she's like, "How do you like your sirloin?" And he's like, "Bloody."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was a terrible villain.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But I do like Passenger 57.
He's a low rent Alan Rickman.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
If you can't afford Alan Rickman, you go to the dollar store and you buy Bruce Payne.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny for me. I'm sorry, go, Tony.
No, you go ahead, Matt.
It's funny for me for both of these actors in sort of the times that were chosen. My favorite role of theirs, even though we're talking about action hero, it's villains because it's Rocky IV and it's Demolition Man. Because they're both great for completely different reasons. Obviously, Ivan Drago, he's the great sort of, says very little but does a lot. And then Demolition Man, he has some of the funniest lines in that movie. When he's on the computer, shit. I wonder if I play the accordion too.
Yeah,
I think it's probably the first time. It's the first time we've got a couple of actors that at least have some range, right? They can make good villains. You've got Universal Soldier for Dolph Lundgren as well, which is probably one of the best villains. If you're not counting the Rocky movies, does it really count as a villain? Really, but for Universal Soldier, that just you can see the evil in him. And with any good villain, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's, not the bad guy. But I get this is the first one where I'm actually really torn picking between two of them because, like I said, I was a Marvel fanboy, so I loved Blade when that came out. I was all over that. Punisher, I was hugely a fan of that movie. You got He-Man in there, Masters of the Universe. Which, does that count as a guilty pleasure? Because I do love that movie, but I hear it get just absolutely eviscerated.
I love that movie too, and it does get picked on a lot. And he looked perfect as He-Man. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Despite the costume, he was He-Man. His mastery of the English language was not great. So he was never going to act as a good He-Man.
I have a power of Rosetta Stone.
Hey, how are you? He makes a lot of
but Arnold works as Conan too, and so we forgive them. We forgive them for the language barrier. We forget that we live in a very wide world where English doesn't have to be the most important language.
He spoke like 8 other languages too. It's just English wasn't great.
Wasn't the best one, right? But I can forgive him for that.
English is Stallone's first language, and he doesn't speak very well.
Is it, though? Is it? He still hasn't mastered it.
Well, Stallone famously said on the set of Masters of the Universe, because he was filming something nearby or whatever, and he showed up, and he looks at the director and he's like, "You gave that guy lines." So when Stallone says that about you, it's like, "Ooh."
Hey, I know I said, if I could change, you could change, but I don't know if you can change like that,
But I think Drago is one of the best villains of the 80s.
Yeah.
I think Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man is one of the best villains from the 90s, like Matthew said.
Yeah.
And they both played, titular heroes as far as He-Man, Blade. They're really close.
Yeah.
I give the
They come down
advantage.
to numbers for me. Yeah.
I give the advantage to Snipes just because of his acting ability and the fact that every movie on his list I've seen, whereas some of Lundgren's stuff was kind of obscure. Even something like Pentathlon, like a lot of his stuff in that range was straight to video.
Yeah.
So he didn't have as much of longevity in the box office as Snipes did.
Yeah.
As far as which one I'd want to fight, that's even tougher because Wesley Snipes is a legitimate badass.
Yeah.
When they were filming Blade, they had to slow down the camera speed because he was moving so fast that he was blurring on camera. And he is, I don't even know what his rating is, his belt rating or whatever, but he is a very accomplished martial artist.
Yeah.
So is Dolph Lundgren.
Who's also a genius.
Who's also smarter than all of us.
Yeah. Chemistry PhD, speaks 8 languages. Or I'm actually going to put a little bit of thought into this here, and I think I'm going to go with Lundgren simply because they both had some pretty decent hits and all of that. But I think the numbers for Rocky IV are going to tip the scales no matter how many good films Snipes had.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think Demolition Man did the same numbers.
I will say Rocky IV was the biggest hit out of all of these movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's going to be the biggest hit by quite a stretch as well. So
the thing about Wesley Snipes too, though, is that he's consistently acted very well in all of his movies.
Yeah.
But if we're going to go sword for sword, which we can do in this one,
Yes.
He-Man or Blade, sword for sword.
Ooh,
Who's
I like
coming
this.
away from that one?
I think we can all agree that we don't want to fight either of these guys to get out.
I'm not doing that. Yeah.
So let's say sword for sword. Who wins, He-Man or Blade? I like that.
Well, if you did do the hypothetical question here,
No magic in the He-Man sword.
I would... If I was in a bar, one's at either end, I'm going to fight one of them, I would head in Wesley Snipes' direction, but before he threw the first punch, I would offer to help him pay his taxes.
I knew it. I was wondering when we were going to get one.
And I might get out alive.
I would do the same thing, but with Lundgren, I would offer elocution class with him. I would give him language lessons.
Yep. Okay, so...
I would just ask Dolph to be my science tutor, so he
There
beat
you
me
go.
up.
There you go. That works too.
So first up, we have Wesley Snipes.
Oh, we side-skirted the He-Man Blade question.
Oh, sorry.
I
Who
think
wins?
Blade wins.
Blade.
If there's no magic in He-Man sword, I think Blade wins.
Well, if that's the case, do we take away Blade's abilities as a vampire then? I think if we're going to go...
Yes.
So it's just, it's just the two human beings with swords.
Well, no, He-Man is still really strong,
Right.
but he's not cartoon strong. He's strong enough to push over a column, and I feel like
He's
Blade
movie
is
strong.
Yeah, Blade is kind of on that level too. Like he's strong enough to jump across a room, but he's not juggling elephants.
Yeah.
I think Blade has the speed advantage in a sword fight. Lundgren's He-Man has a heavy sword, and you see the weight in that sword when he uses it. So I think he has a speed disadvantage.
That's a chopping sword,
right?
Yeah.
Like if he gets a blow, it's all the way through.
Yeah.
But Blade only needs to do a few quick cuts, and then game over.
Is it all the way through?
For He-Man, yeah, he's cutting him in half, mate. He just if he can get him, he's going all the way through.
Did you see the sword in that film? He swings it at me. I put my arm up. The sword breaks. I'm
I
sorry.
disagree wholeheartedly.
I'm poo-pooing a movie you love, aren't I?
No, it's fine. I appreciate when you're wrong.
Look, man, I did invite you on a stream on my channel to talk about Transformers the movie.
Yeah.
That's quite the olive branch for you.
I'm not a fan of that film.
We all have regrets.
Yeah.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
All right, so are we ready for some data crunching?
Let's take a look at the tape.
Wesley Snipes. So
Wesley Snipes,
Rising
a
Sun.
very consistent box office earner for that 10 years.
I did not know U.S. Marshals did that well.
That was a sequel to The Fugitive. I mean, I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people went because of that. Tommy
Yeah.
Lee Jones was.
I
top
mean,
of the
he
heap
won
with
his
that.
Oscar from that. So
he won his Oscar for his role in The Fugitive, and it was such a engaging character. They're like, well, let's do another one, and we don't need Harrison Ford. It's I actually watched that. It was on Netflix, and I probably watched that in the last couple of weeks. It doesn't hold a candle to The Fugitive,
Not at all.
but it's not a bad film either.
It's not bad. It just it gets compared to The Fugitive, so it's
Yeah,
judged
I
on
think
its
it's
own. It's not
awesome.
bad.
I think it's awesome that Blade did so well because it was an uphill battle for Blade being a comic book movie in that timeline.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
it could have easily have been one of those movies where you find later on and realize what a gem it was, but it was, it really opened up a whole floodgate of amazing movies to come out of this comic book movie, Blade.
yeah.
Well, Blade gave birth to every comic book movie that we've seen in the past 25 years, 24 years.
Respect for the Blade, of course.
Yeah, you got to respect Blade.
And Money Train, was that the screen debut of Jennifer Lopez?
I don't think it was her debut, but it was before she was actual Jennifer Lopez.
It was her debut in my life.
It was early Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
it was
I like-
after In Living Color.
Yes.
She's still Jenny from the block.
Well, the thing. So I saw her in Money Train, and I was like, oh, this woman's incredible.
Mhm.
And she started a pop career, and I can't stand that woman.
Yeah. She was something around this time.
Yeah.
Selena, Anaconda. Yeah.
So, whoa, box office total 605 million.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty respectable.
That is.
That puts him in second place as far as the box office goes.
And didn't that have
Oh.
the Rotten Tomatoes score?
I've got the hard copy here.
It didn't have the Rotten Tomatoes score on the.
We don't see it.
Yeah, slide 28 is missing.
Okay. Well, his Rotten Tomato score is 37.5%,
Okay.
which is fairly high.
37.5. It's not great though, is it?
It's higher than some.
Yeah, but like the school where I went, less than 50%, you failed.
That's true. This is a totally different sliding scale here.
Yeah.
So, do we have the totals for him?
The
Slide 29.
totals.
You're on 29 now.
No, so 20. That's Dolph Lundgren.
Oh.
Yeah, slide 28 is missing.
Oh.
You
Okay.
can read them out.
Well, I don't have the audience score.
Oh, the audience score.
Yeah.
We bring the audience score later.
Where? Oh, I do have it. Okay.
He does have the audience
And
score.
the audience score. This is why we always have a backup.
That's right.
Audience score for Wesley Snipes is 64.4%.
Okay.
Ow.
That's better than the 50% mark failing from Analog Toys. So he's Tony, he makes it, right? Over 50 is a win.
Actually, at least at my school, that'd still be enough. 65 was a D, so you'd still be failing.
I
Okay.
was lucky to get
So that takes us to Dolph Lundgren.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at Rocky. Wow.
Oh God!
Told ya.
Wow. Okay.
But,
Game over.
well, no, because I'm doing a quick add up of the others, and all the other films don't even look like they make another 100 million, which would put him around 400, 200 million below.
Yeah,
So
Rocky does all the heavy lifting for Dolph.
424, so 175 million less than Wesley Snipes.
But
Wow.
still quite a bit more than a few of our other contestants, though. So
Yeah,
I'm surprised that Punisher made more money than Masters of the Universe.
Well, because it's a better film, Xaxyl.
Man, I'm just saying I'm surprised. I love the film. I just didn't realize I loved it as much as everybody else.
Well, that's the Canon Films effect right there.
Yeah. And I'm still shocked by that Universal Soldier when it came up on the Van Damme one as well. I thought Universal Soldier was a much bigger hit than that for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's a surprise.
So
And Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, ouch!
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oof.
yeah.
Dolph.
36 isn't looking so bad now, huh? So Wesley Snipes takes it.
In all three.
All
Yeah.
three
Well, I'm
categories.
I'm happy with that. So I would have been happy either way, and I'm happy to see Snipes on top.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't really have a true villain in this one.
Ironically,
Yeah.
considering they pay such great villain.
So that takes us to our final showdown between Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, and Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
So, well, you want to discuss this first, yeah?
Well, yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
So
We've
we
got
got
a-
it.
We're kind of in the home stretch here, but
Chuck Norris. Who was the middle one?
Steven Seagal.
Oh, God.
Stevie Seagal.
Yeah. It's sad.
Seagal had the higher box office number than Snipes.
What is wrong with the world?
It's close, but it's higher.
If Steven Seagal comes out as the number one against Chuck Norris and Wesley Snipes, yeah, I don't know, man.
What are you going to do? Shave off your beard?
Is that what I'm going to do? You'll see me
I'm
on the
not
next
gonna-
stream.
I'm not going to ask you to do that.
So
I
we know Chuck is already out of this because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't even compare. But
Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, Wesley Snipes walk into a bar.
I'm walking out.
Norris and Snipes team up together and kick the shit out of Skull.
They wouldn't walk in with Steven Seagal anyway. He'd be trailing behind them saying, "Can I come too?"
No, he would want to do that, but he would try to pretend like he was cooler than all of them.
well, if those two
Yeah.
came after Seagal, I feel like he'd put his hands up and be like, "I'm just a cook."
He'd start running away.
Just a cock.
All right, let's let the poor guy have a win. All right.
Let's see. Who takes home the
Okay,
gold?
so the winner is, drum roll, please. Wesley Snipes.
Ah, thank God.
All right, is that correct?
Is that
No, you know
I was
what?
gonna say,
No,
is that for
This is the wrong
golf?
slide.
I
This
was
is,
gonna, yeah.
No.
that's the slide I was supposed to show at the end of the Lundgren Snipes
yeah?
match.
He's the winner between Dolph Lundgren and
Oh,
Wesley
no.
Snipes.
Overall winner
Oh no.
is
Steven
Oh!
Seagal.
What an emotional roller coaster.
Oh, Lord.
None of you saw this coming.
I didn't think it was making it past Van Damme, let alone the winner.
Ordinarily, I like an underdog story, but yeah.
Well,
This
we
hurts.
had to have three criteria, and according to Rotten Tomatoes and the box office, but the audience score is totally different. But
Yeah.
wasn't enough. So Steven Seagal is our action hero winner between those.
Tony's
six.
about to take his headphones off and go and find where Seagal is right now.
Well done. Well done, Steven
One-
Seagal.
I've been having the holiday of a lot. First time in the United States. I meet Bobby. I see my action figure for the first time. I go to Joe Fest. I meet Ron Rudat. I meet Daryl DePriest. I come to the Retro Blasting Archive. I meet Michael. I meet Melinda. I've been having a ball. I am now totally deflated.
this
Totally deflated.
has ruined your holiday.
What
this
a twist!
This didn't take the wind out of my sails. My
Farted
sails got burned down.
Just got a cannonball into your hull.
I feel like
Yeah.
I
My
need
boat
to
is
paraphrase Black Panther here and just say, Matt, get this man a beer.
Yeah.
Get this man a beer.
Well,
Yeah. So that is that brings us pretty much to the end of our panel.
mhm.
I think
What
we're the
a
last one tonight too.
sober
We don't have,
ending.
we don't have a lead in.
What a way to end it. What an
Yeah, we're going-
uplifting way to end the stream.
We're going out on a bummer. But yeah, it's been a great conversation. I feel like though, despite the
Yeah, it was
outcome.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And so once again, Matt, tell everybody where they can find you.
So you guys can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter and MattMovies611 on YouTube, as well as Take 3 Productions, where I do some other things and a lot of live stream discussions like this. And you can find me in the rest of Iconicon on Friday. I have my video premiering on The Last Starfighter. And I'll be on a few more streams. I should probably remember offhand, but I can't. Thank God Melinda sent those invites,
You
or
don't
else
have
I
to
would
remember,
forget.
mate.
I'm just as bad, man. Don't feel bad. This is my fourth thing
Yeah.
today, so I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know.
yeah. I'll get a bit of a break tomorrow.
And Xaxyl, where can everybody find you?
Well, before you come and find me, do me a favor and leave a like and subscribe to this awesome channel because I've had an amazing time. Jump over and
thank you.
check out Matt's channel. Give him a like and subscribe to his stuff because he's doing some great stuff too. While you're jumping all over the place for YouTube, may as well give poor Tony a chance and like and subscribe to his channel. He's struggling. He's struggling. Let's help out. He's our Steven Seagal. We just want to help him, you know.
Whoa!
And then if I've still got some friends left after that comment, please jump over to Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse and hit me up with a like, a subscribe, and hang out for some good fun. But I've had fun with everybody here tonight, so please check out everybody here first before coming over and checking me out.
Check this guy out.
Well,
What is well, we got a couple minutes here. What's been your favorite part of Iconicon so far?
For me,
For both of you, yeah.
seeing the underdog Steven Seagal finally get the respect that he deserves. As
you piss taker.
you couldn't wish for a better underdog story than this. So yeah, thanks for this. I sincerely appreciate you allowing me to be on board for this, so I can see it happen in real time and be able to communicate my utter joy for the uplifting hero tale of Steven Seagal. But
The
it's,
David and Goliath.
right, yeah. But it's been a journey this first day. I mean, it's with the time zones. It's I've had to take some time off work so I can watch everything as it's happening. So yeah, this has been great. This has been great fun.
It's been a pleasure having you, Xaxyl.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
thanks, buddy.
Did you answer that question, Matt?
No, I didn't. Yeah, there's been a lot of great stuff today, but I think my favorite thing was the Bill Allen interview. I love Rad. Even though, like everything, it came out long after I was born. And just hearing Bill talk, and I ordered his book right after the stream was over, because I hadn't even hearing Matt talk about more of the stories that are in there. I'm really excited. And also just, it's cool for those sort of smaller 80s movies to just hear how much the actors are so happy that people still love them. Because I'm sure when he made that movie in 86, he never thought he would be on some internet convention 30 years afterwards. But yeah, just the entire thing, I'm not having a great week at work. And so this has been, I've been sneaking on my phone, watching all the streams and everything. It's just been a ton of fun, and it's going to get even more fun. Despite the outcome of this was incredible. And I tell everybody, subscribe to this channel, because Matt has a great show. He has a great episode on Roadhouse that I listened to last night after I saw the movie. I went straight into the podcast. So yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I do want to say two things, however. Number one, happy birthday to Tony. I live in the future, so Happy birthday from Australia. And
Thanks.
2, definitely check out Desert Rat's latest video too. Check your emotions before you do, because it's some heavy hitting stuff.
Yeah.
It's filled with some. So I've been able to hear some of these stories firsthand when Tony was over on my channel. But the way that this is, it's not. I wouldn't call it a documentary as much as I would call it a window into Tony. You really get to understand the man behind the experience. And if you're not prepared to hear some of this stuff, it's worth the watch. But yeah, like I said, check your emotions first, put yourself in a comfortable spot, and get to understand the man behind Analog Toys. It's an eye opener. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it's not just an episode on YouTube. It's life experience stuff that's. You couldn't make up this stuff. It's hard hitting stuff. But thanks for sharing that, Tony, because that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah.
Look, first of all, thank you for your very, very kind words. It wasn't easy, but it was also an incredibly cathartic experience. And now to kind of have it out, it's almost like I have let go of some of those things in my life. And I'm in a good place. I'm here in Georgia at Iconicon. I'm about to go and have a few beers with my buddy Matt. So
nice.
Thank you guys for being here, and
see
you all
take it
tomorrow. Iconicon will return tomorrow.
Oh, and be sure and check out the Endless Bullets movie oubliette crossover premiere on Saturday here at Iconicon. I don't remember what time, but
you can check the schedule on the Iconicon.
I'm ill prepared.
Melinda is prepared, and everybody else that's a part of it has prepared such a comprehensive list that all the homework is taken out of it. And it makes it look easy, but I know how much work actually went into it. So
she has made this very streamlined for us, and she's done all the heavy lifting for this convention. So
and Conrad, I've been pretty useless this year. All right, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow.
We'll see you next time, and lock and load.